Toyota FT1 concept sports car in VR. Hello everybody and welcome to OPAFED Gaming. You're listening to the OPAFED. Today we are driving a Toyota FT1 in a World Touring Car 600 race. We're driving at the Nürburgring Nordschleife track. We're doing 2 laps. We start at 20th of 20 cars and we started with a rolling start. Now these laps, they're long. They're going to take a while to do, so there's no real concern to get chaotic and drive like a wild man, but you do want to get away from these guys that you get stuck behind, which is very difficult. In this Nordschleife track, sometimes you get lucky like that, but in the beginning, right at the beginning of the track itself, there's very few places to pass, except for maybe here, but the cars are scattered so wide and far in between on this track that you tend to use up these straight sections where you actually could pass to try and catch up to the next guy. So, but having said that, all you can do is just try and go as fast as you can when you do catch up to them. If there's only one at a time, it's a little bit easier to get by them than in some races where they all kind of bunch up together. Now, I've never seen this in Gran Turismo. Flag was out for a car with a problem, and then this guy stops right in front of me and I end up rear-ending him. I'm really sorry, buddy, but it was an accident. And we keep going. Put him behind you and don't look again. Now, in this particular race, there's a couple of cars right at the front of the pack that are pretty speedy. And even though my car is pretty fast, he might not be the fastest on the track. Now, this car is really good in the corners, like this here. You can cut them on the inside and sneak by them. But in the long straight sections, there's a couple of cars that I cannot catch. Now, having said that, when you do the Nürburgring, the last part of the track is fairly straight. If I get caught in that area with any of those cars that are faster than me, either in front of me, beside me, or close behind me, they're going to pass me in that section. So I have to not only get ahead of these 19 cars that are in front of me, but I have to build myself a little bit of a buffer zone in the second lap ahead of the fastest cars on the track right now. Because otherwise I will not be able to stay in front of them on that straight section. But anyhow, we'll revisit that when we get to it and you'll understand better what I mean. Unless you know the track, of course, then you know exactly what I mean. This track goes back and forth a lot, and when I first started driving it, I was quite chaotic in driving it. I have a couple of issues where I tend to want to win the race in the first lap, which of course is silly because that's not going to happen. But I want to be in front. If I see a guy in front of me, I have to get in front of that guy. So it makes for difficult driving, especially when you get near the end of the race. If you are in the front or in the lead and you're leading the group, sometimes you might be going too fast and you might drive a little chaotic and drive off the track. It's tough to know what pace to set because you don't want them sneaking up behind you and passing you at the last second, which has happened to me before. So I have a little bit of trouble with that, but in the meantime, we keep ripping. The other thing I have trouble with is counting how many cars I've passed. That always seems to be a real problem for me. Now, I know that in this particular race there's only 2 laps, so it's pretty easy to count the laps, but I forgot to count the cars. So we're just I got too involved right away and I just wasn't paying attention. But that's okay. We're just gonna keep ripping along. We should be able to tell if and when we do get to the front of the pack. So we'll worry about that when the time comes. Now, as we're coming up here, we're I'd say about halfway through the first lap, maybe not quite. Like I said, they're quite long laps and there's not a lot of place to pass. Now, one thing I have noticed with these guys, if you're neck on neck with somebody and you're coming up to a corner, if you hold on a second longer, especially if you're on the inside track, they usually brake a little bit before when they should, which means that if they'll brake and you'll shoot ahead of them. And if you're on the inside track, then you don't have to worry about overshooting the corner and shooting off the sides. I'll show you when I do it every once in a while, but not very often, because this particular track has so many corners and it's raced at such a high speed that it's difficult to pass them even in the corners. But we do our best. And also make sure, and I say this mainly for myself, keep an eye on that rear view mirror, because as you can see, you keep passing cars, but those cars aren't disappearing. And as long as you can see them in your rear view mirror, they are too close. So we got to make sure we get a little bit more of a buffer zone behind us, between us and the cars behind us. So we're going to keep ripping and put more of these guys behind us. And pretty quick here, we're going to be coming upon that straight section here. The track now, it starts to widen out a little bit when you get about halfway, pretty close to halfway through. So you got a little bit more room. Now we got a yellow car up ahead of us there, and he is really zippy too. Every time he gets to a straight section, he shoots away, and then we catch up a little bit on the corners, which should tell you that the corners is where you're going to have to catch up on these guys. You're going to have to go a little bit harder in the corner and still keep control of it so you don't spin out or drive off the track, because that'll be the end of the race for you. If we drive off the track, there'll be too many cars will go by and we'll never catch them all. It'll be over. So we're going to try not to do that. I think this is a Porsche in front of us here. It does look like it. And he seems to be going pretty zippy here. So, but that's okay. We're not gonna, if we can get by him, see right here, just like that. That's what I was talking about. Get on the inside of them. They get to a corner. They slow down a little bit too early, and you can get by them. That way you get one step further, one position further to the front. Now this is the straight section I was talking about. If whatever cars are faster than me, if I'm not in front of them, I will not be able to fight them off here. Because you can see my speedometer is only up to 172, 73, and I think 74, 75 is about top speed in this car. So remember that. You want to be ahead of any competitors once you get to this section. Because once you get to here, and then here when you get out of the straight section, you got to let up a little bit here. You got to brake a little, because otherwise you'll slam into the wall. And take these corners as best you can, and that's the end of the first lap. Like I said, when you hit that straight section, you better make sure you're ahead. Now we got a green car here in front of us. We're going to try and catch up to him. Maserati or Lamborghini. I can never remember which one the flat ones are. But that's okay, it's one of them, and he goes very fast. But that's okay. We're gonna stay on him and try to catch him through these here little cornery, snaking sections of road. You can't pass anyhow, so it's a good place to use that time to catch up to the next car. I saw two more cars in front there. I saw a blue one and a white one yet. Boy, I tell ya. Like I said, we're in our second lap already, but you've seen how long the lap takes. So that gives us a little bit of time. Gives us a little bit of time to try and catch up to these guys. But it's not going to be easy. Oh, just moved over. Just sneak by there. Just sneak by there. And then there's large sections of road, which is actually kind of cool, because you're trying to catch up to the next guy, so you can just open it up and let her go. Now you got to be careful, because you could get a sharp turn up ahead and then overshoot the corner and lose control. You don't want to do that. Some of these cars are pretty wild on this track in this race today. Let's just try and power around him around the outside, because he wasn't going to move over. He was going to cut that short. So sometimes you got enough speed, but he wasn't a very fast car anyhow. Now we got to try and catch up to this white one. Look at him, he's going pretty good. He's going pretty good, and we're nowhere near the front car yet. That I know for a fact, because this guy is not the front car. Oh, there's another guy. I think that's an SU7 Show Me. Show Me, a 2025 Show Me. I believe that's what that yellow car in front of us is. And he is very fast. I've driven this race now a few times, and I have not been able to beat that yellow car. He's beaten me in every race that I've tried. I've not come in first yet. So we want to try and come in first in this race today and pass this guy. But we're gonna have to do it soon, because we don't want to be behind him on that straight section. Like I said, this guy just goes too fast. As you can tell, here's a straight again, see, and he zooms away, and then the corner comes and he slows down. So it's the corners where I'm going to have to get him, and then I'm going to have to build a buffer zone. So he just blocked me out there. But that's okay. I'm going to block the Opafed out for long. Right over here, I think is where it'll work. He's going to slow down for that corner. Right. There we go. See? You're side by side. Just keep the pedal down a little bit longer than them, and you're past them. Now we gotta have to try and make a little bit of a buffer zone. We can see him in the rearview mirror, and even this guy is so fast, even if you can't see him, if you're in a straight section, you soon will. So we're gonna do our best to create a little bit of distance, try and drive it as hard as we can, and try not to lose control or spin out or anything like that to make us lose any kind of time, because that's the one thing we can't afford to lose right now, is time with that yellow car behind us. But every once in a while things happen that you don't want to have happen. But if you're quick enough and you can react fast enough, then you can avert disaster sometimes, but not always. Anyhow, we take it as it comes. We're going to keep racing here. Pretty sure he was the lead car. So I think we're leading in the race right now. And pretty early too. I never would have expected that, because like I said, I hadn't beaten him yet. So I figured it would have been a dogfight on that straight section, me trying to block him out and him trying to get by me. But with a little bit of luck, that's not going to happen. Now we're getting close to that section. We got not a little bit to go yet, but we're getting anxious. And when the Opafed gets anxious, then he starts to drive a little bit faster. When he drives a little bit faster, sometimes we have a little bit of trouble like that. But we managed to pull it back onto the track, thankfully, and continue on. We didn't lose total control. As soon as that happens, take your foot off the throttle. Because if you keep your foot on there, those railings come up pretty quickly. Anyhow, we got control back, and we're going from side to side, and we're almost out of these snaky corners. They get on my nerves after a while. I want to go somewhere straight where I can just hammer it down and go as fast as I can. And luckily for us, that part is coming up. What an absolutely fantastic race. I didn't think this was going to be as good as it is. The Nürburgring is not my favorite track. And I think it's not my favorite track because it poses quite a challenge to race it fast. So I don't think it's not the track, it's the operator, me. That's why I don't like it as much, because it's really a difficult track to drive and get good at, because you don't have a lot of room. But it doesn't mean it can't be a lot of fun, and it is. And this car was a lot of fun to drive because he's fantastic, lots of power, nice quick uptake on the throttle. Just doesn't quite have the top end that you would like to have. Because here's, we're coming around a corner here on this next one. I think, not yet. The next one, I believe. See, I keep forgetting. we're going to be hitting now. See, still not yet. We're going to be hitting that straight section pretty quick here, though. It's coming up. What an absolutely awesome car to drive. If you ever have the chance to drive this car in VR and Gran Turismo, give it a shot. You're going to love it. Here's that corner I was talking about. As soon as we straighten out here, then we should be on that long straight section right there. And that leads right into the checkered flag. Now, if we look in our rearview mirror, we can't see anybody, but like I said, that doesn't make a difference with that yellow car. He's so fast, he could catch us in this, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Every second that we go, we get closer to that finish line. Boy, I tell you, we're almost there. Not going to take long now. This is an absolutely fantastic race. I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys did too. Maybe you got some tips or pointers out of it, and if you just came to watch for the fun of it, that's awesome. Love it. Like it, share it with your friends, and come back for more. Until then, you've been driving in a Toyota FT1 concept sports car with me, the Overfect.